Jared here. We're going to be covering how to handle cravings right now. This is the third video in the post-Thanksgiving training series. Video 1 is down below. It talks about the mindset of how people overeat, how people lose control, and then blame themselves, try even harder, and start the cycle all over again. Try really hard, cravings, binge, guilt and shame. Try really hard, cravings, right? That's the cycle. And since this is after Thanksgiving, I'm working on this kind of an embarrassing assumption, but I've been there before, where you mess up over Thanksgiving, you eat way too much, and now you're getting back on track. So I'm assuming that right now you're sort of in the process of getting back on track. Maybe you're not. Either way, the next time you have a craving, we are practicing mindful eating. Mindful eating is not just when you eat, but it's before and after you eat. And today we're talking about before you eat. You have to catch the thoughts in your head that are driving the craving. There's a couple different types of thoughts we'll talk about today. Sometimes it's hard to catch your thoughts if you aren't able to categorize those thoughts. So I want to give you a few helpful categories, and then we'll talk about how you can catch those thoughts. Thought number 1 is deprivation. There's a fear of scarcity. You have to be very honest with yourself because logically, there's food all around. You can go down to the supermarket and get food. But what is your emotion? Is your emotion fear? Fear that you are not going to have access to a certain food. Is your emotion fear? Fear that this is your one and only chance to get it. Is that the thought related to the craving? Fear or scarcity? Another thought that can come to mind is sort of this embarrassment. I'm embarrassed about what other people will think about me if they see me, so I better eat this by myself when no one can see me. Another thought can be overwhelm. I need a break right now. I need a break. Food cravings are gonna blank out my mind. Now, I'm going to pause for a moment and talk about the second video in the post-Thanksgiving Day training. The first one was about this cycle: control, cravings, binge, guilt, repeat. The second video is a woman describing how she learned mindful eating to overcome her urges, because the first model is about willpower. It's about control. It's about trying to willpower your way through cravings to be good. Willpower doesn't work. She talks about the model of awareness, which is a way better model. We'll talk about it another time. You can watch her describe step by step in a very vulnerable way how she handles her cravings using mindfulness. And one of the things that she herself says is that it's subtle. This is why it's difficult to grasp these subtle little thoughts that are happening before you binge. These are the thoughts attached to the craving. The thoughts that are attached to the craving that are subtle. They're hard. This is why you really need to have a commitment to practice mindful eating, because if you are not meditating regularly, if you are not taking care of yourself, if you are skipping meals, your brain is going to be fatigued if you're skipping meals. If you don't have this commitment to mindful eating, these thoughts are going to be too subtle. It's too quick, too small. You need to be able to bring a presence to notice your thoughts, and part of mindfulness means to not judge. So it really requires you to tap into and be aware and even embrace your cravings and really hold them in non-judgmental awareness. I'll talk to you a little bit about what non-judgment means, but let's talk about this holding of the fear, deprivation, the guilt and embarrassment, shame, and then the overwhelm and stress. Let's talk about holding these in awareness. Let's make the picture clear. You are trying to get back on track right now. You are feeling a craving, and now, because you've watched this video, hopefully, you have this inspiration to practice this presence, to practice this mindful eating. Your job is to sit still with the urges, with the cravings. And scientifically, what has to happen is right now, if you're in fear, guilt, or shame, or stress, your animal brain is going to be activated. Wow, 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 wow. You need to sit down, take some deep breaths, relax a little bit, breathe. And even if your animal brain doesn't fully calm down, you just need it to be a little quieter so that you can notice the thoughts that are going on. Be honest. Is the thought driving the craving that this food that you're craving, this is your one chance to get it? Like, you have to eat it now because the next day you're going to be on a diet. The next day you're going to be good again. Is that thought there? You need to get this food now. It's your limited opportunity. You have to get it now. That's the deprivation thought. The guilt thought. I'm alone right now. I gotta get it. I'm embarrassed. I'm doing something horrible right now. I'm ashamed. Let me have it. I know it sounds weird that if you're thinking you're going to do something bad, like if you are feeling guilty about binge eating or thinking about how you're going to binge, you're saying, oh, this is horrible that I'm having this craving. I'm so weak. I always have these cravings. Why do I always have these cravings? That type of thinking, that guilt and shame thinking, is going to trigger you to binge. You have to catch this. You have to catch this. Awareness is how you stop binge eating, but it's subtle. You got to catch the thought that is driving the craving. The third thought was the fear, or the overwhelm. I can't handle this. And this oftentimes is subtle, because sometimes the thought, when you're really overwhelmed, you have a hard time thinking and you just become on autopilot. In that case, you need to be honest and question yourself. Why do I want this food right now? Is it to feel numb? Because if my desire for this food is to feel numb, I'm probably in a state of overwhelm. So, what do you do after you're holding this mindful awareness with your cravings? What do you do after that, right? You're having these cravings, you've calmed down a little bit. The animal part of your brain is calmed down a little bit. The prefrontal cortex of your brain is starting to wake up to think again, because you're forcing your brain to think, what's going on right now? What am I feeling? What am I thinking? You're looking at your brain, and just the act of reactivating the rational mind is helping to calm down the animal mind and give you more presence to consider if you even want that food. And that's really the next step. It's you've caught the craving, you're holding it in a safe, non-judgmental, patient way. You are breathing with the cravings. You're examining what's behind this. What is my intention? What is my motivation? You're bringing this heightened awareness, and it's subtle. It is damn subtle. That's why self-care is so important. And it's why the mindset that you're going to learn from your binges is so important, because after you binge, you have to reflect and say, what did I miss there? Why did I binge? You have to be able to reflect. Anyways, topic for another time. The second step after you become mindful is to consider, to question, and to challenge your automatic thoughts. This is again kind of difficult, and it requires some practice. But if you catch one of your thoughts, right? Let's say the thought is the deprivation thought. This food is limited. I'm not going to have access to it. This is a limited opportunity. You have to kind of catch that self and speak to yourself, like internally. Hey, is this really going to be gone? Is it really going to be gone? See how I'm questioning my automatic thought? My automatic thought, I paused, I thought about my automatic thought. What is my automatic thought? My automatic thought was, oh shit, this food is rare, it's scarce, I gotta get it now. It's very uncomfortable sitting with this while you're thinking and going through all this stuff, but there's a part of you that can be present even if you're uncomfortable and say, wait a minute, is that food really rare? Am I gonna have another opportunity to have that food? When you get that, yes, I have I will have a future opportunity to have that food. You have created space. You have started to do this all-important practice of detaching yourself from your craving. The craving was overwhelming you. You've created a space with mindfulness. You've turned down the animal brain by breathing deep and by starting to think. You're more present. Now you've actually seen the faulty reasoning rather behind the craving. You're able to say, hey, craving, seems like you're really scared, just using this one example, sticking with the deprivation. Seems like you're really scared that this food is, for some reason, this is my only opportunity to have it. For some reason, it seems like you're afraid that you have to get this now or you'll never have it again. Is that true? And you kind of talk to yourself. This is what I learned. You kind of talk to yourself. You gotta talk to your inner kid, kind of. You gotta talk to yourself. Hey, how's that going? Is it really true that you're not gonna have food? And you, here's the thing, your heart, whatever you is, your soul, whatever, a part of you is gonna click and it's gonna go, hey, no, I am gonna have that food. And even though you have clicked into who you are, the craving can still be there, right? But now you're separate from it. You're saying, hey, this craving is here, but I am over here. And you're able to make a present moment decision. Do I want to eat that? Like, what do I want? Okay, so this video is getting a little bit long. Be sure to email me if you have any questions. That's jared@eatingenlightenment.com. There are links to the training videos down below. I think that's about it right now. Be sure to like and subscribe. And there's also a link to join the email list down below. We'll call it a day. Namaste.